Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Hey, pal. Want a good deal on a Rolex?
Well, sure, man. What do you got?
Tell you what. I'll sell you any of these for $100 a piece.
$100 for a Rolex, man? I mean, that almost sounds too good to be true.
All right, pal. You're a loss.
Oh, wait a minute, man. I'll tell you what. I'll take 2 of them, okay?
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and 6-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
Welcome, folks, to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, retirement planning specialist and full-time fiduciary Tony Walker. And with us in the studio is my favorite son-in-law and fellow fiduciary, Trey Juergens. Good morning, Trey.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And what did you think of Derek and Aaron, that skit? Those guys are something else, aren't they?
Pretty good.
And actually, the title of today's show is kind of getting into this idea of being sold a bill of goods. And as some of you have noticed, we've changed our format a little bit on the Worry-Free Retirement. We're trying to be a little more inclusive and really show off, I'm going to use the word show off, all of the wonderful staff we have at Tony Walker Financial. And, of course, Trey, you're in the Louisville office seeing a lot of people. And you've also kind of taken on the liberty of coming up with some of the show titles. So, all right, why the bill of goods? What prompted you to come up with this title, which I love, by the way?
Well, when you had me start outlining shows, I was racking my brain. But as soon as I just started whatever calls were coming in that week, there's an idea. And I know the light bulb moment for this one, we had someone call in. She had purchased an annuity from someone at a bank, and she just felt, as she said, like she was sold a bill of goods.
So she used those words.
Exactly right. So as I kind of expounded upon that, I was looking into the financial world just to see how that might apply to retirees in general. So it's always not annuities. It could be investment products in a brokerage account. It could be something that's just not suitable for them, but it happens across the board. And without a game plan, without meeting with a fiduciary, that bill of goods could come to you.
And it's interesting when you talk about bill of goods. Have you ever seen the movie Flim Flam Man?
I think you've made this up. I have never seen that movie.
No, there's actually a book written by, put that up full screen there, Aaron. There's a book. By the way, Aaron and Derek are producing the show. So what they're going to be doing, folks, since we don't have the monitor with us, they're going to be dropping some things in post. We got some good stuff coming up. But anyways, George C. Scott. And the key, I think, with this whole selling a bill of goods and what George C. Scott did a great job of in this movie is portraying somebody that took advantage of people in situations. And, folks, that's what we're seeing. I think some of you out there, you're savers. We work with savers. And bless your hearts, you've worked hard. You got all this money. And now you've got to transition into this thing called retirement, and it's kind of like let the buyer beware. And you got to watch it because there are some George C. Scotts out there. Not everybody, but there's some flamming going on out there. And I think people, like you said, once they make these moves, sometimes they don't know what they're doing. They're trusting people and turning money over, and all of a sudden we sometimes see the wreckage of that when they come to us a couple of years later.
Yeah, I think a lot of people go looking for that second opinion when it's a little bit too late. There's stuff that they're stuck in. There's real estate investment trusts that they can't get out of for who knows how long. It's not always the annuities that are the bill of goods.
That's a good point because Wes is running into that. Wes Walker, one of the other fiduciaries, he does a lot of what's called liquidation calls. Mm-hmm. So let's say you're wanting to move money over to us, folks. We will, if you want us to, we'll contact the custodians, get everything liquidated to cash so it can be moved over. And, I mean, there's one case we're working on. We won't name the broker. He has been working on it for several days, getting the runaround. They won't release the money. We had Craig involved because Wes is out. Craig's running into the same thing. And I think what we're learning is the investments can't be liquidated right now.
Right.
So rather than the broker just saying, we can't get out of these folks, the broker is just kind of hem-hawing and putting people off. And it's kind of an interesting track we're on with this particular broker.
Yeah, what we've kind of run into, and they use the term thinly traded. It's not really traded much at all. And in some of those holdings where you just have to be told when you can sell some, if any, of that holding. It's really kind of got you pegged.
Yeah, and so what I thought I'd do, I've got a list of things here. By the way, this is really not necessarily one of our bill of goods. I've got a list of 5, but Aaron sent a great article. This is the kind of stuff that actually irks me, folks. Keep in mind, everybody, there's different people out there with different tastes, different lifestyles, different needs. We've got people, and I know people don't believe this, we've got people who are literally living on their Social Security. That's all they have. They don't need anything else.
Not at all.
So this article came out, I call it a bill of goods. This is talking about why people are going to need approximately, this is the number they pulled out of there, $1.8 million.
Sure.
So how many people, Trey, let's speak to that a minute. Now, I know we're in Kentucky. Maybe in Manhattan, New York, you need that much money. But how many people do we run into that have $1.8 million saved for retirement?
Less than 5%.
Easily less than 5%. In fact, I would say the average person that can comfortably retire, comfortably and enjoy things, probably in the $500,000 to $750,000 range.
Yep.
And they can do about anything they want to do if they, keep it within reason. So, folks, you got to watch those kind of things. This is no magic number. This is why you need a game plan. Okay, so we're going to kind of rattle through these in our remaining time here, Trey. These are just some we pulled off. We've got more we could add to this. In fact, we're probably going to have another show next week, folks. I'm going to have Trey back in. I think we need to cover these again. All right. First of all, now, again, we love annuities. We offer annuities with big bonuses. But speak to the fact of these bonuses and how quickly people are sold a bill of goods, not understanding any of the ramifications and not understanding that if an insurance company is going to offer you a bonus, there is usually a very huge catch to that.
Yeah, I had someone just yesterday asking why would an insurance company offer this bonus? And they were doing their homework. They weren't doing what a lot of people do, is just chasing that bonus, putting as much money as they can. Advisors throwing as much premium at those bonus products as possible. She asked what would the benefit to the insurance company be for providing that bonus? And it is a carrot on a stick. It's the insurance company saying, hey, here, we're willing to give you this if you ensure that we're allowed to hang on to this for 10 plus years, and you decide to take it usually as lifetime income. Mm-hmm. So they're willing to give you a little bit up front. Sometimes it's fun, especially after markets dipped. As we record this show last week, the market was very volatile. That often chases savers towards products that are safe. And if these bonuses are able to recoup some losses potentially, even at that point, that's a really good reason to go chase those bonuses in theory. But if you don't really understand how to use that product, it's not really a good fit.
That's a very good explanation. Also, too, if it's a fixed index annuity, remember, folks, if there's a bonus, the crediting methods on that annuity are going to be lower. So they're going to get their money back. There's no free lunch. All right, the next one, over the long term, the stock market always goes up. Now, let me say this. Actually, if you look historically, that is true. But we're talking about retirement here. And what we are constantly harping on is if you are retired, and we go through another 08. And 08, yeah, the market went down 50%. It eventually came back. But that is going to be tragic if we have another crash like that and you're retired, folks. So speak to the idea of just that blanket statement that the market always goes up.
Yeah, those calculators, just like the article Aaron provided, that 1.8, that's some target that someone's trying to get to. In those calculators, you can plug in all the numbers you want, and those assumed returns to get to that number are what are scary. People may say, I really need to chase the 12, 15% returns. That much equity exposure as you're close to retirement could be detrimental.
No, very good explanation. Speaking of target, what about target date funds? Now, again, folks, it's not that we have a problem with target date funds, but these are supposedly the cat's meow. And we have a lot of saver clients who go, well, I had the 2020 fund, which means the target date fund in your 401k is geared towards assuming you retire at 2020. They're assuming it's very safe. They've been told it's targeted to that date. What can happen, in fact, what did happen in 2020 when some of these target date funds that were supposed to be conservative went down as much as 20%. So speak to that.
Wes and I looked at a lot of these target dates, and it has been called in the financial world the easy button for 401k. So you're accumulating this money in a 401k. They're doing all the ratcheting of equities to bonds behind the scenes. However, for a saver, we've seen, in a target date fund as close to 5 years to that target retirement date of upwards of 60% equity exposure. So that's honing in on our growth strategy. So if you have that much money in equities and we see another 08, you could be down 40, 50% even. And what you thought you were doing was hitting the easy button and letting them do the work behind the scenes.
Yeah, good point. Here's one. This one always gets to me a little bit. A lot of financial entertainers have said this for years. You won't need life insurance in retirement. I've often said a lot of people, I realize as you get into retirement, trying to buy life insurance can be expensive. But I've had to deliver a lot of life insurance checks, those tax-free cold hard checks, tax-free checks. I've never had a beneficiary turn one down yet. They didn't take it. But with that said, and again, folks, what I'm going to share with you, some of you may not even be insurable, but some of you are young enough still to think about this, and this is why you might want to consider permanent insurance. I just want to, kind of like John Bogle, I do eat my own cooking. So put this up full screen. This is a life insurance illustration. This is dividend participating whole life. I took it out when I was age 50. I'm 64 now. You can see, Trey, now I fund a lot. I put a lot in this. I've been putting $24,000 a year into this policy every year since age 50. But notice it was originally $500,000 in death benefit. Again, this is whole life, so the dividends are buying more insurance, which is why I've got this. This is actually a modified endowment policy. I'm not using it for loans or anything. I want it for the death benefit. But notice already it's doubled. The death benefit is $1,090,000. So if something were to happen to me today, Trey, even if I went in a nursing home and Susan had to fork out $600,000-$700,000 to keep me going for 4 or 5 years in a nursing home, when I die, not if I die, when I die, you get the privilege, you could do this if you like, deliver a check of over $1 million within about 4 weeks. They're not going to contest it. I'm going to be dead.
Yep.
And Susan isn't going to have to pay a nickel in taxes on that. And it's still growing. Notice at age 71, the projected dividends, the death benefit's going to be $1.3 million tax-free.
No, it's powerful. It's the most powerful tool. When a lot of advisors say, oh, no, just buy term and invest the difference, it sounds good until you have a term that lapses, and who knows what returns you've really seen.
That's right. And then the final one, we're about out of time, Trey. Aaron's giving me the chop signal over there. But this kind of falls into our book, Live Well, Die Broke. By the way, folks, the Live Well, Die Broke book is absolutely free in audio version. If you want to go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, great book to listen to. We've had great feedback on that book. But speak to the fact of how much we encourage people to spend and enjoy their money before it's too late. We had a couple in yesterday. She was not that old. She had a brain, was it blood clot?
It was a mini stroke, and lucky to be here with us.
But, man, the doctor said it was a miracle. I mean, out of the blue.
And they've got some money that they've just been kind of squirreling away, not really wanting to spend a whole lot of it. And I think just meeting with us, understanding that you're not going to be around forever, understanding the importance of using and enjoying that money, which we are big on.
Yeah.
The financial world is not so big on. Sometimes they act more like it's their money than the client's money. And having that Live Well, Die Broke methodology and understanding that savers do want to enjoy this money, that life insurance speaks, it's a permission slip to use their own money because they can leave tax-free money to the kids.
That's right. That's the way I've got our assets planned. We're going to use and enjoy that money, and when I die, we've got money to replace it. So, okay, Trey, we're out of time today. So next week, what are we going to talk about? I want to follow up on this further.
Yeah, so the things that you can do to avoid falling victim of buying a bill of goods, and then we're also going to hit on the particular investment products that have provided the most buyer's remorse to retirees.
Oh, sounds good. Thanks, man, and we'll be right back.
Today's Better Business Bureau Spotlight comes to us from Dennis. We started working with Tony and staff in November of 2023. They gave us a good game plan for our retirement and long-term planning. The support staff is great. For more information, visit TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call 877-499-9255.
Having worked in the retirement planning field for 40 years, I know it's not just about how much money you've saved for retirement, but making sure you one day don't run out of money. That's where Mailbox Money comes in.
Mailbox Money!
A reliable, lifelong income, much like the pension plans from the past. If you're interested in turning your 401k into Mailbox Money, let's talk. Just set up your free 10-minute phone call with myself at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
My name's Leanne Tinsley, and I'm one of the certified tax consultants here at Tony Walker Financial. With the Secure 2.0 Act, there have been many questions about required minimum distribution changes, and finally, the IRS has made a final decision. Non-spousal beneficiaries of inherited IRAs will no longer have the option to stretch those distributions over their lifetime to reduce tax liability. Instead, these beneficiaries are now subject to a 10-year payout and will be required to continue taking RMDs if they have begun. Let's consider an example. Mr. Jones owns an IRA valued at $500,000 and leaves it to his daughter. Mr. Jones was past the age of 73 at his death and already taking annual RMDs of $20,000 annually. His daughter will have to continue those RMDs based on her life expectancy in years 1 through 9 and then fully distribute the balance in year 10. This would be a devastating tax hit and makes comprehensive retirement planning even more important. If we can be of any help in answering your RMD questions, feel free to reach out to myself or TJ at 877-499-9255.
And now it's time for Tony in the Trenches. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here on the Worry-Free Retirement. I've got our next Tony in the Trenches right here, so let's get to it. This TNT comes to us from Judy in Elizabethtown. Tony, I recently retired from a company I worked with for over 30 years. The people who currently handle my 401k want me to move it to them with an IRA. Is this something I should do? And if not, what would be the advantages of rolling over that 401k to you?
Very good question from Judy. And Judy, here's what I would say. Certainly, the 401k custodians realize that with 10,000 people turning 65 each and every day, many of those people are not going to want to leave their money with the current 401k plan. That's because nobody's really looking after it. Think about it. If you currently have a 401k now, you've been investing all that money, you generally have to pick all your own funds, you're kind of on your own. Well, then all of a sudden you're getting close to retirement and you get ready to leave that employer. Well, you can bet your bottom dollar that 401k custodian does not want that money leaving their organization, which rightfully so. It's a business decision. So what many of these large custodians are doing is now they're offering individual retirement accounts, which is what we offer at Tony Walker Financial. What they'll do is they'll say, look, don't move the money out of here. For a small fee, we'll manage it for you. So in response to this, it's hard to know whether it's an advantage or not, but here are full bullet points we'll put up full screen that you need to consider. And then once you consider these, allow us to take a look at the plan, show you our proprietary software and all the services we offer. And I think when you see the value that we bring to the table, it's going to be a pretty easy decision. But here's the things to look for. If in fact you might want to consider leaving it with your current employer and they're going to, quote, manage the IRA, how much in fees are they going to charge every year? Get that in writing. Number two, the funds they are going to select for you, what are the fees for those funds? That's a separate layer of fees, and you want to find that out. Number three, is the advisor you're assigned to going to be local? And is that advisor going to be there for the long haul, or is there a lot of turnover in this organization where you may not have the same advisor on a regular basis? Number four, are you going to get quarterly statements that will easily help you understand what you're making on your money, what the fees are? And then again, are you going to have independent fiduciaries looking over these accounts to make sure they are working in your best interest? And finally, the fifth thing, are you going to get a written game plan? Now, I'm not talking about spreadsheets and computer-driven retirement calculators. That is not a game plan. A game plan that's going to help you monitor your progress and help you make financial decisions along with your advisor. So that last point is really important, folks. For the fees that we charge and the services we offer and that proprietary game plan and all the experience we have in retirement planning, we think we're second to none when it comes to handling those 401k rollovers. So at least give us an opportunity to talk to you and provide that free second opinion before you just blindly roll over your 401k to another advisor or leave it there at the current institution. To take advantage of what we call the free fiduciary phone call, all you got to do is log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on that Let's Get Started button, or give us a call anytime at 877-499-9255.
So, Heather, one of the things that you kind of instilled in me when I first started working here was the joys of this job. There's a lot of things that make us happy as an advisor. And the thing that I think both of us can relate to is a lot of times when we tell a client that they need to turn on their mailbox money or start taking income from an annuity contract, it can be pretty rewarding for both us and the client. Can you speak a little bit just to that process and what that can mean for someone who's now in retirement?
Oh, absolutely. So, one, it's very fulfilling when we can tell a client, yes, they can retire. And then as they progress through the plan, as they're into retirement, we can turn on mailbox money. And once they understand that and turn it on, we still get questions like, well, when's this going to end? Mm-hmm. And it's like, when you die or when your spouse dies. So it's been fulfilling to when they really embrace that thought, and it's like, oh, this is for real. This is going to last as long as I'm living.
And we've seen a lot of different companies and asset managers making different products, but really, is there anything outside of an annuity that can guarantee income for the rest of your life?
Absolutely not.
So that's why I think for a lot of our saver clients with that financial personality, it makes a lot of sense. And with Tony's, near 40 years of experience in this business and a long number of years working with annuity contracts specifically, I think we're well positioned to help those people guarantee an income that they can never outlive.
I agree.
Thanks, Heather.
Thanks.
The individuals in this interview are uncompensated clients at the time of filming. Their opinions expressed were provided to Worry Free Productions for use as an advertisement by Tony Walker Financial. Please refer to Form CRS and Form ADV Part 2A Disclosure Brochure for information regarding the advisory services offered by Tony Walker Financial.
Hi, I'm Bob Graves.
And I'm Marge Graves, and we live in Louisville, Kentucky.
We're both Vietnam veterans, and really Vietnam is probably what brought us together.
When Bob Hope and Sammy Davis Jr. came over to entertain, they picked a doctor and a nurse that were serving in Vietnam to be their medical team that would travel with them. I came home in January. I had already done the Bob Hope show, and I was going to do Sammy Davis when I got back. And the Courier found out that I had done the Bob Hope show. Then they put a half-page story about my experience in Vietnam and about the Bob Hope show and put a picture of me in the paper. 2 weeks after I got back to Vietnam, I got a letter from a Louisville boy. And so we started writing, and we started writing every day. And all of a sudden, we were kind of falling in love. 6 months later, after I got out of the military, we got married.
Well, I retired in 2008. Marge retired in, 2007. So we've been retired for quite a while now.
And we like it.
Yeah, we enjoy it.
When we first met with Tony, we brought in all of our financial information. And he took a couple of days to look through it and gave us solid advice on where we were, where we would probably be in the future, recommendations that we would have.
We opened up our financial books to Tony, and he went through everything very thorough and came up with a game plan that we still adhere to. I think the game plan is the key. In life, you need a game plan, and definitely in retirement.
Looking for an advisor you can trust? Schedule your free phone call with Tony at TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call 1-877-499-9255.
Tony, I keep hearing the term fiduciary, and it's a relatively new term, at least to me. Can you explain what that is and why it's so important for folks to work with a fiduciary?
Well, actually, you're right. Fiduciary is a term you don't hear a lot. In the financial world, though, it's getting very, very popular because there are so many people giving financial advice now. So a fiduciary, by definition, simply means that someone is going to be working in your best interest, not theirs. The problem in the financial world, in order to transact business, to manage your money, for instance, you don't have to be a fiduciary by law. In other words, it's kind of odd, but you don't have to actually be held to a higher standard of working in someone's best interest. So we at Tony Walker Financial have volunteered, we have elected to become fiduciaries. We have the proper licensing. Besides myself, there are 3 other fiduciaries, and our job is to make sure that we are working in the client's best interest.
So give me an example of what a first meeting might look like. If I'm a new client, I come into your office and I meet with you or one of your associates.
Yeah, a good way to tell if you're working with a fiduciary is how quickly are they moving you through the process. So for instance, at Tony Walker Financial, that first meeting, Diane, when we sit down, we're basically going to go over all of your information, That's all we do at the first meeting. We're collecting data. We're making sure we understand what it is you want and what you're trying to achieve. Then in almost all cases, we have a second appointment. Now, during the second appointment is where we provide all of our findings, all of our assessment, and that information is confidential to you and personalized to you. Now, here's the real thing that really surprises people. We generally don't ask people to buy anything after that second meeting unless they're ready to move forward. We encourage them to take their information home, study it, make sure they understand how we're paid, how much money we're going to make on the transaction if they move money over, and just make sure they have a real comfort level. So yes, in conclusion, Diane, you want to make sure you're working with a fiduciary.
Our employee spotlight shines today brightly on Miss Mandy Houchins. Good morning, Mandy.
Good morning, Tony.
First of all, tell us when you started at our organization.
I started in January of 2020.
And what are your current roles now?
I am the head of the client services, so I handle all of the services any client needs, beneficiary change, address change.
And we just got through recently with one of our staff retreats. You've got a lot of folks working under you, but you've got that organization really coordinated. How do you feel right now about our level of service?
Oh, I think we're on top of it. We've got some good help, got lots of people to take care of any problem any client has.
Yeah, we always say the clients call us. They don't have to call these companies. We'll handle everything.
Right, exactly.
So now that you've been here a while, what is your most enjoyable aspect of your work with our organization?
I think clients call us for service things when they're maybe having a problem or they're in a difficult period of their life. So I like being able to assist them and kind of get them calm back down and understand that everything is truly going to be okay.
Yeah, and to share your heart with the audience. I mean, it's very difficult to find people who have the capability to help people when there's death of a loved one. We had 2023, 55 death claims. So tell the folks your role when one of our clients passes away.
The family normally contacts me. I kind of assist them in walking through the claim process. We get all of the paperwork together for them and have them come in and sit down and go through the paperwork with them. So we help them through the whole thing.
And that's such a valuable service. We appreciate all you do and just thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
You're so welcome. One of the unique things about Tony Walker Financial is our 5-step process I call the Worry-Free Retirement. The process begins with step 1, which is a personal assessment of the prospective client's situation. During this first appointment, which generally lasts 20 to 30 minutes, through my experience, I can quickly determine when and if that person can retire, and of course, where we're going to suggest placing their money. The second step of the process is generally another appointment, again lasting 20 to 30 minutes, we call the assessment. During this appointment, this is where the client will receive a full binder, free written game plan of all of our recommendations and determinations of what we think is in their best interest. The third step of our process is something we call the commitment. And this is a very important part of the process because in many cases, I run into folks who have been working with advisors who have rushed into the decision-making process and thus, in many cases, have regrets about where they have invested their money. Not so with Tony Walker Financial. In fact, we take pride in the fact that we encourage our prospective clients to take their binder home, look at our suggestions, and think about it to be sure they feel it is right for them. Step 4, assuming the client wishes to pursue some or all of our recommendations, this is where our wonderful staff at Tony Walker Financial steps in, and we call this part of the process the onboarding process. And there's basically 3 different departments. We have the investment department, where we place our money through our custodian, Charles Schwab. We also have our annuity division, where we place all of our fixed indexed annuities, and immediate annuities. And then finally, we have our insurance department, which includes life insurance, long-term care insurance, and Medicare supplements. Once the client is onboarded and the money is moved over to Tony Walker Financial, the 5th step of our process is one that I'm most proud of. You see, anybody can sell you something, but it's another thing to be in there for the long term with that client through retirement. In other words, is that firm going to service what they sell? Well, at Tony Walker Financial, we are well equipped to do just that. In fact, we have 3 paid, salaried fiduciaries who do not work on a commission, whose primary focus is on current clients and making sure that when, not if, changes come their way, that our clients can rest assured that someone, including myself, is there to see them through those changes. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program. To speak with me at any time, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Or if the internet's not your thing, just call us at 877-499-9999. 9255.